Hey, while we're waiting and everyone's kind of in the chat, why don't you put down something that's happened today, already this morning, that's been really good. Like my first cup of coffee was really good this morning. So what happened that was really positive yet this morning already? Start the day off in a positive note. And we'll start getting used to chat because we're gonna make this session really, really interactive. Great weather in Miami, of course. Overachiever, went to the gym already. This is awesome.
Claire had Valentine's chocolate for breakfast.
Oh, really, Claire? That's awesome. I teach snow skiing. I always start off my day because it's, you're in the mountains and it can be miserable out, and people could go through the rental line, and they need to be kind of recentered. So I'll kind of start this off with what's the best thing that happened today, because sometimes they're like crying at that point, and they're not ready to have fun and learn about skiing. So it's snow skiing. So it's a really interesting way to kind of reset your brain to what's good about, there's something good happened today.
Yeah.
Oh,
I have to know where Deb's located at.
55 degrees and snow. That's pretty freaking awesome right there. Unless you have to drive through all that melted, cruddy snow. Ohio, that makes sense.
Hey, what about those Bengals, huh?
So close.
Yeah, that was a crazy game.
Deb, we're sorry, Deb.
All right, I guess we'll go ahead and get started. Talking about something good that's going to happen, right? Definitely want to call out here. We are giving away Ford Bronco, right? So it could be one of the lucky individuals that are on the call today. It is a 2022 Hunter Green Ford Bronco. From what I understand, it's sitting in our warehouse, and I think the plans are to give that away in May. So make sure you go to this site, register if you haven't already done that, because as they say, you've got to be in it to win it, right? So you definitely want to go out and register, because you could be the lucky winner of a 2022 Ford Bronco. So and again, welcome to today's installment of XenTegra's Webinar Wednesday. Today we're going to be discussing ControlUp with Edge DX. But before we get started, I just want to very quickly talk about a few things, introduce XenTegra if you guys aren't familiar with who we are at this point. Jeff, if you want to go ahead and go to the next slide. We are a national reseller. We invest heavily in our partnerships, the end user community, providing expert services along with carefully selected products and customer enablement, right? So we typically will hold events, workshops, webinars such as this one to really try to educate that end user community, right? So our goal is to help you on your digital transformation journey, wherever you are, and we can help you to ensure that you are successful, as you travel down that path. Go ahead and Jeff to the next one. This is Andy Whiteside. He is our founder and CEO. Andy founded XenTegra on the principle of serving the end user community, which we continue to do today. He was a former Citrix sales engineer, left Citrix because of a desire and saw a need in the partner space, right, to be able to help enable that end user community. And again, that's what we continue to do today. We are a value-added reseller with the highest partner status to be able to provide you these sort of discounts that you need when you're going out and purchasing products and so forth. We do provide consulting services to customers, no matter how big or how small. We also provide managed services, right? And that's to help you support and manage your digital workspace environment. So if that's something you're interested in, let us know. And last but not least, something else I want to call out, it's kind of near and dear to my heart, is our complimentary assessments. If you haven't taken advantage of one of these, definitely encourage you to sign up and do so. We'll talk about this again a little later. These assessments are provided at no cost for up to 4 hours, right? So we'll talk about next steps following this webinar, and if that's something you guys are interested in. It's a great way to just get a second set of eyes on your environment, whether it's Citrix, VMware, what have you. It could be networking based, but it's a great way to get an understanding of what you have, what are you entitled to, how to enhance that end user experience. The great thing is, from a ControlUp perspective, they do partner with us. So if you guys want us, we could definitely utilize ControlUp as part of that assessment. And again, we'll talk about that a little later. Jeff, you want to go to the next slide? It's a quick introduction. My name is Randy Price, and I'll be your host today. I live outside of Charlotte, North Carolina, so the weather is nice today. Over 20 years of experience in that end user compute space. I've been with XenTegra for a little over 4 years. And like I mentioned earlier, these micro assessments or complementary assessments, if you had an opportunity to engage with us on one of those, there's a good chance that I was involved. I do a majority of those assessments, specifically on the Citrix and VMware side. So if you guys have taken advantage of one of those, there's a good chance that I have worked with you in the past. But with that, I'm going to turn it over to the ControlUp guys to let them introduce themselves. And as we go and we discuss today's topic, specifically around ControlUp and Edge DX.
Thank you, Randy. My name is Jeff Johnson. I'm also here with Tom Fenton as my colleague. What I'll be doing is about maybe 20% slides, just to kind of set it up and give you an overview of who ControlUp is and what do we do and how do we fit into this whole technology ecosystem. What is our technology? And then Tom is going to dive in with a bunch of demos. I like to do 20% talk and 80% show. So Tom is the show, I'm the talk. So with that, let's just kind of get into it. What we do, who we are in our core, is we want to power the work from anywhere world. Now that sounds like just marketing talk, but really that is our core, because what we're seeing, what we know is today, remote work is now today a business imperative. We have no choice. We have no choice for a technology worker, for a information worker. What we're seeing out there in the industry, and all the articles are pointing to this, all the customers I talk to are pointing to this, is remote work is growing. Now this is in 2020, and this number is even exponentially higher. They were predicting it's going to grow even more by 2024. Yeah, it's already been there, because it's better for people and communities. It's actually better for the environment too, with less traffic in the ground. They believe that we can be more productive. Now, this study was done a while ago, or in 2021, that hey, we've always had the technology to work from home. We weren't able to figure it out socially. We didn't know how to work with our colleagues, but coronavirus kind of showed us the way. It was that forcing function that enabled us to just do it and figure it out. We see a performance increase, a cut in attrition. Let me talk about that one really quick. A friend of mine at Microsoft, he's been working from home the last couple of years. I'm here in Seattle, so there's a lot of Microsofties around. I used to work there for 15 years. And he said, hey, Jeff, this is last night. He was like, my boss is wanting us to come back to work in the office at least 2 days a week. He's like, I don't want to. And I go, some people are thinking about leaving their job if they're forced to come back to work. And he goes, yes, just today. I thought, do I need to start looking for a new job? Because I have it so nice in my home office. I am productive. At lunch, I can go for a run. I don't have to commute. I could spend all that commute time working or doing something for my family. He's like, I want to continue to do that. That was just last night. So people are demanding this work from home. They're absolutely demanding it. But companies are struggling to do this. It's not that they're struggling to do it. They're struggling because the technology is there. What they're struggling with is the experience of it all. I'll say this once if I said it many times, because a fully patched, fully managed laptop or desktop can have a bad experience. It could be a brand new laptop in someone's home and they could be having a bad experience and they are going to quit that company if they can't get there. They want to do a good job. They can't do a good job with a bad experience. Now, let's say they're running Salesforce. Salesforce is slow. Well, it's slow in their house. It doesn't mean it's slow in someone else's house. So this is a real problem. And this happens to be what we are passionate about. We're passionate about improving this digital experience. And this is how we do it. On one hand, we have the employee on the left-hand side. On the right side, we have the technology. And we go right in the middle. We are not a security and manageability or patch management company. We're not a compliance company. We are about this experience, and it becomes very, very important. We do this through observing physical endpoints, VDI and DAS solutions, SaaS and web apps, and even unified communication sets, tools, Zoom, Teams, things like that. We observe, we bring all of that data into the cloud in real time. And once it's in the cloud, what we call our fabric, then we can analyze, we can correlate, we can say, well, when is this happening and how often is it happening? And is it in a geographical area only that's being affected, or is it a global event? Or is it down to one specific person or a team of people? I can correlate this. I can then, if I understand it, if I analyze it and correlate it, then I can remediate it faster. In fact, we have over 2 billion hours of computing hours of virtual instances from all of our customers that we then take and say, well, when this problem happens, most of our people fix it by running this action script. So therefore, if I can correlate a problem with a solution, I can even suggest a solution to the technician. Whether this is huge, right? Based off 2 billion hours of troubleshooting remediation, I can suggest a solution to a problem. Meaning, as you all know, like with a VDI instance or an EUC environment, it's very complex. So if I can take some of that complexity out with kind of an AI, suggestion of a solution, then I can have my lower level help desk fix more complex problems more of the time. And then if it's a problem that is continuing to happen, we have something that's automated. We can automate that problem resolution. I can't automate the problem. I can automate the resolution to that problem. That comes down back into my optimize. All of that remediation and automation comes right back down into my optimize. Again, across the physical endpoints of VDI, the SaaS, and the UC environment. That's at the high level. When we take a look at the low level, then we have some products that are around this. I know this marketecture can be kind of overwhelming for some, but just bear with me 1 second. I'm going to move right off this. We have a program called ScoutBees, just as an overview. What ScoutBees is, it's synthetic, proactive transaction monitoring. So if I have a EUC environment, if I have a SaaS application, a web app, I can run a scout, what we call, and it runs every minute or every 3 minutes or 5 minutes, and it goes and logs on to your VDI environment. It says, yep, it's still running, and the log on time is acceptable. And here's the report. Here's all of the the detailed information about that environment, or it's my Zoom, or it's my Microsoft Office 365. That's Scout Bees. Real quick on Real-Time DX. Real-Time DX is for EUC monitoring. So it looks at a 360 overview between the hypervisor, my all my connectivity between my hypervisor and my VDI instance. And then with Remote DX, it goes all the way down to getting some metrics, some data on the endpoint device with just one DLL. So for instance, if I'm running an EUC or a VDI environment at home, I can then detect, and Tom will show this, and look at the home network performance. How's my Wi-Fi? How's my home network? How's my router? How's my route to the internet? How's my route to back to corporate? I can understand. This is visibility that we have never seen before in our industry. What we're here to talk about today is ControlUp Edge DX. We take a lot of that same thing of real-time DX and remote DX and put it on a physical device. So this physical device, it runs as a user mode agent. So we're not a kernel-based agent, which is an advantage to get it through security departments. But the data that we can get, the information that we can fix is phenomenal for these remote physical devices, remote or as they move around. Excuse me. So this is what we're here to talk about today, this ControlUp Edge DX. And please, as you have questions about the technology, about XenTegra, about what we're seeing here, please pop it in the chat. We'll try to answer them real time, or I'll throw it out to Tom as he's given the demo. So with that, like I promised, it's 20%.
Okay.
20%.
Jeff, keep on this slide for just a second, because I do see a question in there. And like Jeff said, we'll either take the questions real time, defer to an appropriate time in the presentation, then we'll do a wrap up at the end of the session and talk to him. So the question is, what's the difference between a remote DX and Edge DX? And this one actually came in before you talked about it a little bit, Jeff. So I think this slide really shows what I think is the biggest difference is that with ControlUp Edge DX, you don't need to be connected to a virtual desktop for us to get those metrics from the client device. Both Remote DX and Edge DX do collect metrics from the client device, but we do it in different ways. With ControlUp Edge DX, we don't need to get it from the virtual disk. You don't need, virtual desktop. With Real-Time DX, you do need to be connected to the virtual desktop in order to collect these metrics. So, and as we go through the presentation, I'll kind of show you that. Jeff, do you have anything else to say the difference between remote and Edge?
So Tom, what you're saying here is, and if you can see my mouse, when we're talking about EUC environment, we're talking about real-time DX, remote DX. It goes through the monitors, right? And then that comes up into our cloud, whereas opposed to, well, in real-time DX, yeah, comes over through that port and then comes up into our cloud. Whereas Edge DX, all that data, all those metrics go straight into the cloud. Is that right?
Yep, exactly. And with that said, let me go ahead and take over the presentation.
All right, let me stop sharing.
Okay.
Hey, Jeff, one quick question. Do you guys work with all the major players in the virtual desktop space?
Yes, we do. So we have Citrix and VMware, and then now we're working with Azure virtual desktops.
Mm-hmm. Very good, very good.
Yep. And can you guys see my screen now?
Yes, sir.
All right, great. So what we're looking at here, for those who aren't familiar with ControlUp, is kind of our legacy product, if you will. It's the real-time console. And what I like about the real-time console with actually ControlUp is that we don't just collect metrics around the hypervisor. We don't just collect metrics about the connection server. We don't just collect metrics around virtual desktops. We collect all these metrics because, as you guys well know, is when something breaks in a VDI environment, you don't know what it is. Is it, you know, the desktop? Is it the client? Is it, you know, the infrastructure somewhere in between? So what we do is we collect all these metrics and display them on a single dashboard. And then we color code them to make it real easy to spot when something's going on. You can see right here, we have a few things in red that we probably should investigate. And you know, the color coded, it makes, you know, we see a watermelon patch here, and the red things, you know, really pop out here, so we can address those items. And we're looking at the host right now. The in this case, it's a vSphere host. And you know, we definitely see some data store IOPS issues going on here that we can investigate. And we have this virtual assistant that, you know, gives us an idea right here, you know, where we should go to solve this issue. Yeah, let me just kind of do it there. I'm gonna go click on it, gives me more information. Looks like we have some issues with our data store. And then we can, so right now we're looking at the information from the ESX server. Gonna go ahead and click and see the virtual machines that are running on that. And, you know, sure enough, we see the virtual machine that is having the issue. We can dive down a little bit further, and we can actually see the processes on the virtual machine itself. And, you know, right away, we can see what happened here. We have this process, dynamo.exe, that is just slamming the disk. Jeff, how many clicks was that? Oh, Jeff's not here. Randy, did you count the clicks? What was that? 6
I'm here.
clicks?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we're able to drill down from the host all the way down to the virtual machine, to the processes on the virtual machine. If we want, we could, you know, even solve the problem. We could kill the process. We could give the process a lower a priority if we do want it to run, but we don't want it to keep taking up all these IO operations.
Yeah.
You know, real simple to do. So let me go back and talk about the sessions, because we're talking kind of, first I'm going to go into remote DX, and then we'll go into Edge DX. So we have these sessions here. I'm going to go ahead and take a look at the remote DX metrics that we collect. And so with remote DX, we have a library that's collecting these metrics from the client itself, because that's something that we saw early on in the pandemic, as we saw people that were deploying whatever they could at their home to access their virtual desktops, right? We didn't have, you know, enterprise grade equipment at these homes. We had older routers. You know, I'm a techie guy, and my router's what, 6-7 years old. And people were calling up with problems, and they say, hey, my virtual desktop's having issues, blah, blah, blah. But then when we started to dig into these problems, is no, your Wi-Fi signal is, you know, 10%. You try getting closer to your Wi-Fi, and that's going to solve your problems. But we didn't have that visibility until we had things like Edge DX and Remote DX.
Hey Tom,
and, right?
What
Oh,
wasn't what didn't Trenton on our team do a study where it's like if you get down to less than 60% Wi-Fi signal, your throughput drops to like 20%?
Yep. Yeah. Trent, one of our.
I mean, it's a cliff that goes down when you hit 60%. It was really interesting.
Yeah, and you know, a lot of things can affect the Wi-Fi signal. I live in Portland, Oregon. A lot of old houses. They have these, and down south, I know you guys have the same thing. This lath plaster construction. It's pretty much a Faraday cage, right? You got to have that connectivity, and so we now have that visibility into it. And when someone calls up, we can take a look at it and say, yeah, try moving a little bit closer to your Wi-Fi router.
That's pretty huge, right? Just because, you know, I just remember, you know, it's been a while, but back in my administrator days, right, when users call in complaining of slow performance, it was really a guesstimate on where is it, right? So you look at the Citrix server, the VMware, you know, whatever it may be, environment, everything seems to be working fine, right?
Yeah.
The users are complaining around performance, you know, where is this coming from? So having that visibility to see, oh, it's actually at the end user's home network, right?
And Randy, that's one DLL on that
Right.
device.
Right. So I mean, I mean that's a game changer, right? Because now you get that full visibility end to end, what's going on, especially like you said, as people are working remotely these days. So.
Yep. And another issue we saw with people working remotely, they go into, I'm in the Pacific Northwest, they go into the coffee shop, right? And they connect up. Hey, that's great, but what kind of Wi-Fi authentication are they using, right? Are they really using, WPA2, or are they using, are they passing information over clear text? It's a huge security issue. And with this, we actually have the visibility into it. And knowing you have a problem is fantastic, but able to solve that problem is even better. And so with all these metrics we can collect, we can set up triggers to do automated actions with them. For example, they connect using one of the Wi-Fi authentication protocols that our corporation doesn't support. They can we can knock them right back off and send them a message saying, hey, you need to go to some place where you can securely transmit the data. And we just, like I said, we collect, a couple dozen metrics from these client devices, the channel. Another interesting thing we saw in one case is we collect let me see if I have it up here. I might not be displaying it, is yep, right here, the BSSID and the SSID. If you have a mesh network, all your SSIDs are going to be the same, but depending where you're located, which node on the mesh you're connected to, you'll have a different BSSID. And we saw one case where this one group of people were having connectivity problems, and we were actually able to track it down to the BSSID. It was a particular node on this mesh network. And if we just collected the SSID, we wouldn't have that visibility. So this is the real-time console. And this is something you usually access from inside your firewall, but we know not everyone, works from the office. So we came up with something called Solve, which takes all these great metrics, and you can access it from the cloud, basically. So no matter where you're at in the world, you don't have to be in the office to see these metrics. And we, display them here on a web-based browser and get the same great information. I'm looking at the host here. I'm going to take a look at the user sessions here. And here we go, taking a look at the user sessions. And one of the neat things that we have here is this client device score. We now have a pop-up that makes it real easy to see where the issue is. Again, color coded, we make it easy. We see the Wi-Fi signal 62%, which is, Jeff says I think we're kind of at that cliff here where we're about ready to fall off. But look at this latency. I don't understand how you could have a latency of 307 from your laptop or remote device to your router. Right, just crazy. So something's bad there. Randy, it looks like you're going to interject.
No, I was just going to say, I mean, this is a game changer, right? Being able to have that sort of visibility to see, again, is it happening on that end user's network? Because like you said, everything could from the perspective of the Citrix or VMware environment, everything seems to be normal, right? But now you're able to see, oh, like you said, they have the latency on their local area network. Maybe there's latency from their ISP, right? Yep. You can drill down into that and get that sort of information. So.
Right, and we do that. We show the latency from the device to the virtual desktop. Again, 205 milliseconds, and these are just a little bit out of whack because we set up the demo environment to show them. This one will always be a little bit higher than this one. So is the problem between the endpoint device to the router, or is it from the router to the virtual desktop? And furthermore, we go out there and we ping good device or good IP address. In this case, we're doing Google. So is it just to the virtual desktop, or is it your ISP, like you said, Randy? Is it the ISP that's having these slowdowns as well? So really great information, real easy to see. And we also support things like deep diving into it, so we could just click these and take a little bit bigger look at them. We collect historical data on this. I'm just going to click this historical CPU usage. and see if it's an ongoing issue or if it's just kind of a one and done type issue. And so that's a remote DX. From the Solve dashboard, we can also access Edge DX. And like I said, where remote DX, you need to be connected to a virtual desktop to get those metrics. With Edge DX, we always get those metrics from the end user device. And here it is.
Tom, now we're switching to purely physical devices, where before those were, EUC, VDI devices, and then we had the DL, which was our real-time DX, and then with our remote DX was that one DLL that gave us the insights of the home Wi-Fi signal strength and latency and all that. Now we're switching gears and we're a full-on physical device and digital experience, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Great.
And we, show alerts, what's happening, if we have any issues we need to address. We have this nice geographical map that shows where our endpoint devices are located. And this is nice little picture, blah blah blah. Yeah, but what happens if all of a sudden you see, you start having devices deployed in Mongolia, right, where a US based operation, maybe something funny is going on there. You should take a look at it. So this actually serves a purpose here. I'm going to go ahead and click into the devices. I'm going to show the devices that are online right now, and take a look at them. And here's those same great metrics. The Wi-Fi signal. Let me go ahead and sort by that column. All these columns are sortable, and you can filter on them as well. And let me take one of these. I know we have a good one here. Let's see. It's the.
Actually, Tom, while you're looking at that, so we support Windows, Mac, iGel, right?
Yep, and Stratodesk here shortly. We're working with them
Linux,
right now.
Linux, right?
Yep. And let's take a look at this device. Get a little drill down into it a little bit more. It gives us all the general information, what OS it's running, manufacturing, the manufacturer of the device, and the CPU metrics, network latency, Wi-Fi signal over time. And we can, right now we're looking at the last 24 hours. We could look at the last month, last year, what have you. So Randy, I know when you have problems, sometimes it's just really nice to see what the user's seeing, right? See their screen. Right. I mean, you can solve problems real quick that way usually. Yeah, I can't find my icon. Well, yeah, you aren't looking in the right place, right?
Right.
And so we have a couple ways to do this. We can send the device a message, either a particular user or all the users on it. I'm going to say, call support if you are having issues, right? We can just send them a quick message. If we see their CPU usage is really high, send the message, they'll get that message. But let's go ahead and you can either remote shadow, which just views the screen, or you can have remote control, which actually gives you kind of like an RDP session, and you can see what the user's seeing. And we do know privacy is an issue, so you can either ask for user consent or not ask for user consent. You can set this as a policy, so you always have to ask for user consent, right? So let me go ahead and start this remote console, and we should see that message first thing. Hopefully, takes just a second here. And then we can go ahead and work with the user to see what they're seeing.
Which, Tom, that's nice, like, because a lot of device management tools like Intune, things like that, have some of that capability. But this is nice because we don't have to switch consoles and go to a different app and then run. If I just want to, if I'm looking at the problem, I'm not talking about patch management. I'm not talking about security, issues. I'm just talking about, hey, they're having a slowdown in their experience. and I can just stay within this and then, run that same application. Yeah.
Yep. And unfortunately, it looks like we're having an issue with the device itself. And that's one of the problems when we use these virtual devices.
I think that's Joel's device and he's moving.
Yeah, it could be in transit from Miami to Orlando right now. But then you can, see what the users, tell them where to click, and solve the problem that way. We also do some
Hey, wait,
really
Tom,
neat
real quick, go back to the actions there.
Okay.
Where you were on the device. Yeah.
Okay, there we go. Pick that device again.
Yeah. One of the things that I know that we're doing, assist, is the remote shell. We just expanded the capabilities in the remote shell, so you can go kind of behind the scenes, right? And you can launch a command prompt, you can go into PowerShell, you can go to the registry, you can start behind the scenes correcting things on, like, this is that user's command prompt, right? This is that device's command prompt.
Right, exactly. So if you do, like you say, have a PowerShell command that you want to run on it, you can do it. You don't have to walk the user through typing and having the typos and the issues like that. So you can just do it, take care of the problem.
That's huge. Thank you.
I was going to mention, whenever I was first exposed to ControlUp, I mean, it's been years ago, I always thought of you guys as just being a monitoring solution, right? Just another solution out there for monitoring, but you guys are really more than that. You guys are, take that management and monitoring, right? All in one platform. Like I said, being able to have
we're fixing
console.
solution. No one wants to buy a monitoring solution.
Right,
They want to buy a fixing solution.
Exactly. We say monitoring solution, but you guys are way past that, right? You guys also provide the management aspect as well. So being able to fix these things.
Yeah, and like I said, any of these metrics, you can create a trigger to correct an issue. And we have this script library. I think we have over 300 scripts that we've either written or the community's donated back to us. So you can just go to that script library and have it fix an issue, or you can create your own script. And we, with that philosophy in mind, we do the same thing with Edge DX. You can run scripts on it as well, and that's what these actions are. In fact, let's go ahead and run one of these as actions. Let's see what's a good one. Okay, UC, unified communication. That's huge right now. And it's the little things that are driving people crazy here. Let me see if I can find the. Believe it or not, we have seen people. They call up support. Hey, I'm having some problems with my unified communication. I can't hear what's going on. And what we're seeing, believe it or not, is they don't know what device they're using. So run this little action here, and it tells you exactly what device they're using, speakers, their Java headset, whatever they have. But again, 2 clicks. Hey, can you make sure your headset's plugged in? Things like that. So real easy to do.
This console, this console is all web-based, right? So we can access this. So if I'm a support, if I'm an engineer, right, and I'm supporting an environment, I can access this from home. So if I'm at home working remotely myself, weekend, things of that nature, very quickly, wherever I am, I can log into this solution and be able to see what's going on, get a bird's eye view.
Yep, absolutely. And we do support role-based access control, RBAC. And so you can give different users different permissions, because, maybe you don't want to give a level 1 guy the right to run actions, because he might not know all the implications of what's going on. So we do have RBAC on that as well. That's a great point, Randy. We can see what applications are installed, either on a specific device or on all the devices. Let's see if we got Edge going on this. Yep, and we can see what version. We can see patches. Again, that's kind of huge, and whether they're critical or not. Looks like this one, has a few patches we could apply to it. Processes. Again, we can stop the processes if we need to, if they aren't doing what we think they should be doing. We can see the applications that the user's using. Again, this one, yeah, demo environment, we actually aren't doing much with it. But one of the, and Randy, maybe you can help me out here, is, number one thing people complain about, log on duration, right?
Yeah, log on times.
Log on times.
Yep. And so we make it real easy to see what's happening here. Here we go, walk you through all the different processes that happen when they log on, so you can see which ones. This one's actually running really well. User group policies, how long they're taking, so you can go in and key in on that and help your users that way when they're having those long logon durations. And we also, let's see, that's a chart. So I showed the chart, right? We can also get this in a format that you can kind of export out, so you can do further analysis on it. These are, everything that's happening, and this is the stop processes. Let's see.
That's huge, because I know things change, right? So you might have a mapped out drive, you might have a printer that you've connected to through group policy. And if it's no longer there, that thing is just timing out and you're just sitting there waiting for the freaking thing to go. You might have some applications in your startup folder that are taking a long time to initiate and go. So that's huge. Having that kind of data is just at your fingertips is huge.
Yep, absolutely. I do see a few more questions that I'm going to pick off here. What ports do I need to, this was from Cal, what ports do I need to open for Edge DX and Remote DX? Well, that's kind of the beauty of actually both these products. With Remote DX, we use a virtual channel over the VDI environment, Citrix Horizon. So you don't really need to open any additional ports. All that information gets shot over a virtual channel. With Edge DX, we use the HTTP, HTTPS port. So you aren't going to have to open up any additional ports. Usually those ones are opened by security, so you don't need to deal with that. Looks like we have another one here from Chris. Does remote assist work for Linux? Yeah, actually, Chris, that's a great question. And today we released the 2.9 version of our agent. And we do support remote control and remote shadow on Linux, iGel, HP, ThinPro, and you do have that all important user consent. Another one here from Jan is, what infrastructure does Remote DX and Edge DX require? Again, that's one of the beauties of both these products is Edge DX, it's totally SaaS based. You don't need to install any additional infrastructure. All that information gets put up to the cloud. We store it for you. You don't need to worry about running out of disk space. And so you just install an agent on the device and you're up and going. With a Remote DX, it uses the ControlUp console and that infrastructure, so no additional infrastructure is on that.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing. Like I know our Remote DX, when I first started a little over a year ago, I got Remote DX running in under 10 minutes in my home lab environment. Now, I'm used to System Center Configuration Manager or Intune, or back in the day, Tivoli, or Operations Manager. I mean, Randy's kind of shaking his head, all these things. And the prerequisites to run all those, the SQL servers, the web, to initiate a website, we look for all these prerequisite scripts to help us, get all the right things going. And that was still like a couple of days worth of configuration to get that first agent installed, right? And Ops Manager is better than System Center Configuration Manager, but this took me literally 10 minutes without knowing anything. So I had a Citrix environment going and a VMware environment going, and it just started working. It blew me away. That was real-time DX. With Edge DX right here, you get a tenant going on our site. You install one agent on an endpoint device and it's running. It's running.
Yep. And that, oh, Randy, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, and that's a great point. That's why XenTegra is partnered with ControlUp for these micro or complementary assessments that we perform, right? Because we can very quickly get ControlUp and working and pull that data in, right? Because these complementary assessments, they're up to 4 hours. So we don't have 4 hours to spend deploying a solution to collect that data. We can get this up and working in no time and immediately start seeing metrics and data. I have performed micro assessments for customers where, immediately upon installing ControlUp, we were able to identify issues within their environment, right? When they say, hey, I've got slowness, users are reporting slowness, but they really don't know what that means.
Yeah.
And so having something like ControlUp to provide that visibility, we're able to identify, okay, what do they mean by slowness? Where is the slowness occurring, and what can we do to address that? So,
so Randy, I gotta show my ignorance here. What all does a micro assessment cover? I mean, yeah, Marcel just raves about them, but I'm gonna plead ignorance here.
So we have traditionally performed micro assessments for customers, and it's just essentially we call it a SWOT analysis, right? It's a strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats for a customer with their environment. So we'll take a look at their solution, whether it's Citrix or VMware, how they're utilizing, what they're entitled to, and look at issues and challenges as it relates to user experience, right? And so traditionally we have performed this prior to engaging with you guys. We would do this, and it would be a manual sort of engagement, right? Where we'll just kind of dig through, we'll see what we can find through Director, right? But of course that's, if it's a Citrix deployment, something like Director, but that's really geared towards just the BDA. So you're not getting the full picture. So, we engaged with you guys through that partnership, and now we're able to leverage ControlUp for those micro assessments. So we can deploy ControlUp as part of that, get more visibility, so that when we're working with a customer and they're telling us that, hey, we're having the slowness, we can very quickly see what's going on in the environment, right? Is it an issue with my data stores? Is it group policy, right? Maybe I've got something going on, group policy, profile related, whatever it may be, that's causing that slowness. But and being able to get that insights, right? That virtual, the insights and virtual expert troubleshooting that you guys provide, so we can not only see, it's taken 20 seconds for my group policies to apply, but according to you guys and the analysis that you see with all your logins, you guys typically see 5 to 7 seconds, right? So we very quickly understand, we're outside the norm here. So, we utilize, again, ControlUp and go through that sort of process. But typically with a ControlUp micro assessment, we'll deploy ControlUp, we'll let it run for up to two weeks to 30 days, right?
Yep.
And then we'll pull that data together and we'll create a deliverable that we'll turn back around.
What'd you charge for that?
It is free. It's complimentary. I don't like to use the word free. Complimentary, right?
Complimentary. Wow. Okay. So they just you get a hold of one of the SEs, SAs, and set that up.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's great.
All right, Tom, what do you got here?
Yeah, it looks like we have just a few more minutes, and I wanted to show you again. One of the drives me crazy, or I used to do tech support. Someone calls up and says, "Hey, I'm not able to do X, right?" And so tech support guy, let me try doing X, and you can do X, but they can't do X, or they weren't able to do X. And with virtual desktops, with all the SaaS applications, Office 365, Facebook, even that's a business application now. It's gotten even worse because users call and said, I can't access Office 365. I've rebooted my machine. I've, checked my GPOs. I've done all this crazy stuff. Why can't I access it? They call up a support guy says, well, I can access it. So what we figured out is this. So we have the last mile, which is, ControlUp Remote DX, Edge DX, monitors the client device. What about that other end, the virtual desktop, the SaaS applications? So we came up with ScoutBees. Jeff touched on it, and it monitors those remote assets to make sure that they are up and running. And, totally SaaS based, so you don't need to install anything. And it shows you right now we have this virtual desktop, and it looks like everything's running good now. We did have a few outages, So when someone calls up and says, I can't access it, support people, they can instantly log on and take a look and, see if that asset really is available or if it was down for a while. And of course, knowing you have a problem is good, but being alerted to it automatically is even better. So when it does detect that a resource is down, it can send out an email, it can open up a ServiceNow ticket, any kind of webhook, we can do that as well. Really easy to set up, requires no infrastructure. Go ahead, Randy.
Yeah, I was gonna say, this is another solution, right? We kind of talked to the fact that being able to, schedule, these checks, right, to where you can validate that, more proactive sort of monitoring, right, and validate that that resource is available before the users come into the office, right? Instead of having to wait for a user to try to launch their desktop or their application, get, that ticket submitted, it finally gets you to realize, hey, there's an issue going on. You can be proactive and get notified, hopefully before the users even realize what's going on. And
Exactly.
right. So
Yeah.
it's huge.
Yeah, and we have some, over the years, remote assets, SaaS-based applications have proven rock solid. They really have. And so that's why we assume that it isn't it, right? But we have some great use cases, some case studies that we've seen over the past year and a half. For example, Office 365 went down, but it only went down, people couldn't access it from Europe. The people in the US on the West Coast could access it. So again, how the heck as a support guy do you figure that out if you're based on the West Coast? Yeah, I can access it, but the people you're supporting in Ireland can't access it. So we have these hives all over the world, and we have this nice map that shows, yeah, these are the ones that are down. Another great story is when this first came out, we monitored Azure AD, and we detected, remember a year and a half ago when that went down? We detected that before anyone else was tweeting about it. So that was just kind of, it was dumb luck, but it was kind of a neat thing. So real easy to set up. Yeah.
That's awesome.
And
All right, we got 8 minutes left, and I know we want to get to the raffle. Tom, you got anything else to show? You done?
Let's see. Do you see any other questions in there, guys? I think I kind of answered them all. No, so I think Claire, I have a question. If you talk and you're on mute, are you really talking?
That answer is no, it is not. You're not talking at all. Give me just a little bit to finalize everybody's little names here.
All right, let me just wrap it up on our end. So again, this is our ControlUp cloud, and we're solving pain points like slow or inconsistent experience in EUC environments, laptops, SaaS environments, unified communication, desktops and laptops. We're solving the complex to troubleshoot with virtualization complexity, remote users, home networks, SaaS applications, slow logons. We're solving things that are hard to fix, like EUC technology is hard to fix. We have our action scripts. Remote desktops are hard to fix. We solve that. SaaS application performance, UC performance. Things are also hard to report on. How do you measure a user's experience? There's no user's experience scoring. We provide the scoring. Application usage, that's hard to report on. We provide that. Geolocation of devices is hard. We do that. Good or bad is hard to define. We define what's good or bad based off our historical customer usage. With all of these things, it's kind of what we're passionate about, right? So our mantra is, let's power this work from anywhere world on the back of a laptop, on the back of a desktop, on the back of an EUC environment, Citrix or VMware, or an Azure desktop. So what are the next steps? Well, working with XenTegra, schedule a demo, get a complimentary micro assessment, get a proof of concept going. These are simple things that are actually done really fast. They have doesn't take hardly any resources from your end or customer's end. because you're not setting up a huge infrastructure for just a POC. You're accessing the data. You're setting up an agent for the POC. It is so fast and so low risk. It's incredible. And with that, Randy, I think, oh, do you have anything else to say on that one, Randy?
Well, I was just going to say, one of the questions we typically get around, the micro assessments is, how intrusive is it from an agent standpoint? It's a very lightweight agent, right? I mean, it's just, it's very lightweight. We can deploy it from the console, so we can push it out. So, from an installation standpoint, it's easy to deploy, gather the data, complete the assessment. I would say, majority of our customers, if not all, find tons of value in it. So definitely reach out if you guys are interested in that complimentary assessment or a demo, or just doing a proof of concept of ControlUp altogether. So we'll be glad to help you guys with that. And I saw you just had the other slide. And again, can't say this enough, go register for the Ford Bronco. It's sitting in the warehouse, ready to go. So coming up here shortly, we will be giving that away.
Tom probably going to qualify.
You're going to win, right? So,
Yeah, we were talking earlier. That's like $120,000 value right there, isn't it? With dealer markup.
Everything's went up in price. I know.
And then Claire, are you ready for the last slide?
Yes, I'm ready. If you will just unshare your screen so I can share mine. We're going to be giving away an Amazon gift card. Let me share my screen. All right, so here we go.
Oh, whoa, look at
Wow,
this.
look at this. Claire, wow. You have some mad Pat Sajak skills there.
Hey!
Right.
Perfect. So we will reach out to, I'm going to butcher this, Prakash. We will email you in just a second with that gift card. So thank you all for attending. I appreciate it.
Hey, thanks, guys. Really enjoyed it.
Thank you, guys. And anyone that, like I said, if anyone has any interest in the micro assessments, demos, POCs, definitely don't hesitate to reach out. Jeff, Tom, definitely appreciate the time this morning from you guys and ControlUp and everything you guys presented today. It's very informative, a lot of value there. So appreciate it.